What it is, my people, it's the Kid Sincere, your resident Gold Chain moviegoer. How are we gonna do this? Movie man,
cinema man.
I don't know. We're gonna think of something clever. But this is the first episode of Gold Chain Cinema, where we're gonna talk about movies, TV, but we're gonna do it the way we do it as fans of it, and not trying to be smarty arts or try to outsmart all the good people that's viewing us, because we love movies and TV the same way that you guys do. So I'm the Kid Sincere, and I'm joined by the one and only Sobski 117. What's going on, brother?
Hello.
Yes, sir. And for all the good people that's going to migrate over from the Gold Chain Gamers channel, salutations to you guys, and to the new viewers, welcome. And we should have a pretty good time from here forward. But
this is like a monumental occasion.
Yes.
Is it monumental or monumentous? Monumental, right?
Monumental.
Right.
But it's monumental because this is something we've been thinking about doing for a long time.
Episode 1.
Right, because we have a game channel. We talk about video games. So check that out if you haven't, Gold Chain Gamers. But we wanted to talk about movies because off air we talk about movies all the time. Maybe more so than games.
We talk about a lot of shit all the time.
We do. So
gaming's like a fifth
of it. And movies, is probably another fifth. It's just that we're very passionate about when we talk about it. We argue, we disagree, and that's all the good stuff we're going to have as far as content on this channel. But I thought it would be fitting if we start off with an event I've been waiting for. How long has it been? Since season 2.
It wasn't. When did season 2 come out? It was not last year, but the year before, right?
The year before, yeah.
But it was around.
But it wasn't quite 2 years.
It was Halloween. I think it came out Halloween 2017.
2017, yep.
And they skipped a year,
right?
And they decided to release it summer.
Right. I think it got pushed back. It got delayed, right?
I don't know if it got delayed, but I mean, because the whole premise of it is the whole 4th of July thing, right?
Right. So they kind of marketed around the holidays that they're accompanied by. So season 2 was Halloween, and now it was the 4th of July. And of course, we're talking about Stranger Things, the Netflix extravaganza. This show is huge now. I'm talking about as far as a property. When I go places, I see figures, coloring books. Like, this is well past being just a show on Netflix.
There's even a game out now.
Yeah, there is a game out.
The funny thing is, it's called Stranger Things 3, the game. They should have just called it.
Yeah, they should have just called it Stranger Things. But from what I heard, it's a Stranger Things 2, the game. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I have no clue. No.
Huh.
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to Google that.
It's worth Googling. But we're going to be talking about season 3. No spoilers. We will be spoiling it in a whole nother video. But here, we're just going to give our opinion and where it stacks up with the previous 2 seasons. Because personally, I think this is one of the better series on TV, period. Just in general.
Oh, it's great.
I mean, of course, there's other, good series on TV right now. But this series does something that a lot of shows kind of fail at, and that's capturing the time period. I love the 80s vibe, from the sound, the visuals.
Oh man, the soundtrack is like one of the most striking things.
I never skip the intro, ever.
Nope.
When my wife goes to pick up the remote to hit skip intro, I flip. We need this intro for the culture. The music is just, oh man, the synths. I could talk about that forever, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what we thought about season 3. So let's just start off just with the most general question we can ask. Saab, did you like it?
I fucking loved it, mate. That's not even a question.
It's not even a question. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed season 3. Now,
I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to.
See, that's where I'm kind of at odds at, because I don't know. It's nothing like the first time. The first time you watch something and it's good, it's like shocking. Like, wow, this is really good. So you're almost taken aback by how good it was.
We have zero expectations.
Right. So then that second time, you just seeing how well it stacks up against that first feeling. I thought they achieved that with season 2. There were some moments like that whole episode that was about Elle's journey, finding out, the other people that were like her.
That was season 2, right?
That was season 2. I wasn't feeling that episode much, and there were maybe another episode early in the season that was kind of dragging as far as the story.
I didn't mind that season. I didn't mind that episode too much.
It just didn't. It didn't resonate with me. I'm gonna tell you how.
It felt like a filler episode.
It was. I'm gonna tell you how little it resonated. When they recap season 2, they never mentioned it. They don't even put a scene of it in there.
The episode didn't really need to be there. You could just skip it.
They were trying to, develop Elle as a character, and I think it helped, but it wasn't. It's not nothing that it didn't stand out to me.
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was bad though.
Right. This season 3, I don't think there was a wasted episode. For one, it's an episode shorter than the last 2 seasons. It's 8 episodes as opposed to 9. And I think that was a smart move because it was concise. A lot of the episodes were 40, 45 minutes. So they just went. Man, I just sat on the couch and just zoned out and watched every episode. The last episode was over an hour.
That was, I think that was 70 minutes long.
Right.
Altogether.
And it was just concise, man. Everything was packed in there. You got a chance to get a feel for just about every main character. Just about. There were some characters that might could have used a little bit more screen time.
That's something that one movie couldn't achieve.
Could not accomplish that. Not at all. And I thought they did a good job with one explaining where each of the 4 main characters, 5 main characters were doing at that time. And it gave them space because they weren't all together through the. In fact, a lot of them weren't together at all this season. And then they came together towards the end.
The way they transitioned between each character was cool too.
Right. Like each one had their own
like everyone felt important.
Yeah, everyone had their own plot line reaching the same kind of goal. Like, for instance, I love Dustin's part. Dustin's segment in this is great.
He's easily like one of the standout characters.
He's absolutely one of the standout characters. So you had this portion where it was him, and it was Destin. I'm trying to think. Who was the actor's name?
The guy who was like the jock guy from season 1, right?
Right, Steve. There was Destin, Steve, and they introduced a new character. I can't remember her name, but she's played by Maya Hawke. I thought that whole portion of them being in the ice cream store and trying to figure out, the Russian code was great. That was great. That was all good stuff right there. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole series, the whole season.
Damn. The way it felt like an 80s show.
It's that, to me, that felt like very Goonies, very.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. But right. It felt like it didn't just feel based on the 80s. It felt like it was in the 80s.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Which is actually kind of difficult to pull off. And this show does it in spades. So I like.
There's a segment where they're at the cinema and Back to the Future's playing.
Back to the Future's playing. Wait a second, what you didn't catch was on the billing, they were watching Back to the Future. It had Fletcher on the billing. A lot of people don't remember Fletch. Fletch is a crazy movie, man. That's a movie I remember from back then. So it was like, wow, this is accurate. They didn't just, even when you see the Orange Julius sign, a lot of this season takes place in a mall. And if you look around the mall, like, I remember stuff from when I was a kid, like that Orange Julius sign, it was like, I don't know why that stood out to me. Then you had the Gap. Oh man, it was just. Even
the new Coke.
The new Coke. They had a whole argument about old Coke and new Coke. That was really good.
I think they teamed up with Coca-Cola to re-release New Coke for a little bit, right?
Right. Yep. In commemoration of the show. Like, this is how big this show is. I thought they did a lot with characters that were sub characters in season 2. For instance, Billy. Billy played a huge part. I like Billy's character. I like what Billy's purpose was.
Yeah, what they did with him was cool.
It was cool, and he was, a whole through line. Like, the only thing, I don't want to get too spoilery, is just that his ending didn't pay off fully to me.
I don't know if I think I agree with you with that. But when you think about it, I don't see how else it would have ended.
Yeah, but he has, without spoiling, he has a sister, Max, and Max spends most of her time with Elle. So Max and Elle has this relationship.
That was also really cool because they didn't get that many. They didn't get that much time together in season 2.
They didn't. In fact, she didn't really act. I'm talking about Elle. She didn't really get a chance to interact with other female characters. Really, what she wound up doing was hanging around the guys a lot or being isolated. To have her around another girl was interesting because she's still kind of that fish out of water, not really acclimated.
Even the way she talks.
Right. That's good too. That was very smart. Right.
Millie Bobby Brown is such a great actress.
Oh, she's great. She's
she
awesome.
delivers everything well.
What's the word they use? Adorbs. She's adorbs, man. She's adorbs. And
Yeah.
She had a relationship. They teased it at the end of season 2 with Mike.
They've been teasing it since season 1.
They've been teasing since season 1. This is a through line, but them actually being a couple, which happened in season 3. Her and Mike were actually a couple, which I thought that plot line, which weaved into the Hopper plot line, was pretty good. It kind of humanized Hopper. I mean, he always had that element to him, but he was always the rough, gruff guy, and anytime they needed to save the day, but him trying to be a dad was dope.
Everything that happened in the show is felt like it was
It had purpose.
Everything was for character development.
Right. There was no wasted moment with any characters on screen.
And everything felt everything felt like it was supposed to be that way.
Right.
It's hard to explain.
Let me ask you this. So I think this season you had a few new characters into the fray. What was your favorite character? Your favorite new character?
Maya Hawke.
You like Maya Hawke?
Yeah, that's the actress. I can't remember her name, the character's name though.
I can't either. I was actually trying to look for it while we were talking, and I couldn't find it.
I'm gonna Google it. Wait there.
I was trying to find it, but while you're Googling, I would say that my favorite character, my favorite new character, she's not new because she was in previous seasons, but Lucas's sister.
Oh, yes. She basically is the new character.
Lucas's sister stole a lot of the scenes she was in. Like, I'm trying to find her name in the show, actually. She was great, man. She's
a good actress, too.
She was excellent, man. Like, the sassy kid, smart, witty.
In fact, a lot of the time that I laughed in the show was because of her.
Yes, she was very, very. The comedic timing for her was very good.
Just the face.
Like all of it didn't land, but like 90% of it did. Like she worked. Yeah, she worked as a character for sure.
Maya Hawke's character's called Robin, by the way.
Robin, right?
I really liked her character, and what they did with her was cool too.
Right, so I'm trying to find her name in the show, and I can't find her name. This young lady's okay. Her name's Erica in the show. Erica, because he said to her, "Well, you'll be doing this because they were trying to spy on the Russians." She said, you can't spell America without Erica. I thought that was great. I thought that was great.
Child endangerment.
Child endangerment. Mission child endangerment, man. She
just wants those ice creams, mate.
That's it, man. She just wanted a lifetime supply of ice cream.
Bro, you know what? She earned it, though.
She did, man. She got him to the promised land, man. She every scene she was in was a good scene to me. Now, let's just talk about the plot a little bit. This one started off with them, you know, to me, this is probably the weakest part of the show, which is crazy. All right. The plot.
Really?
The plot. I think the plot was the weakest part. I think the characters are so good that I feel like I could watch them do anything. Like, you know what I mean? I can watch Millie Bobby Brown and the character that plays Mike, Finn Wolfhard. I could watch them have their interaction. I could watch Max's interaction with Elle. Like, all of these character moments worked for me. The reason why some of this shit was happening didn't move me none. And because it felt like it was ripped directly from season 2. You know, just having a reason why some of the things was happening. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you.
That was always gonna be a thing, though.
Right, because in a weird way,
I guarantee if there's a season 4, it's gonna be the same.
I feel like that also, because I don't think you can rewind Elle back. Because the first season was about Elle, really, you know, and you got into this whole upside down where this, you know, and Mike being missing in the upside down. And then the season 2, it was more of Mike, you know, being out of it because of his time in the upside down. But it was less about Elle's journey. That's why they had to separate her journey as one standalone episode. It's always going to be about Elle, but they had to separate it to kind of just flesh her out a little bit more, to where this season, I thought they did a good job of giving each character moments to grow in every episode. Even Billy, you know, Billy had his, you know, moment of backstory and things like that. But as far as the plot, you know, the plot is, you know, the Russians went in on the upside down. We don't know why.
Those damn Russians.
Those damn Russians, man. Every 80s flick has evil, bad Russians in it, man. Red Dawn. I could go on for forever. Rocky 4. We could go on forever, man. But
man, just imagine Dolph Lundgren turned up.
Right. But you have this plot really that's based around the Russians. It's really circled around the Russians trying to open up the portal, the hole to the upside down, and them playing and tinkering with the, you know, upside down. It kind of energizes and reawakens the mind flare, you know, which really never went away, you know, but it re-energized him to basically abduct people to inevitably take Elle out, so, you know, he wouldn't have anything in his way. And like the Russians, the Russians assisted this action happening by trying to reopen the upside down.
Not necessarily intended for it to happen, though.
Right, because like they didn't really know what they were doing. And that's another thing about, you know, 80s movies. They always portray Russians as being morons. They're tough morons, which is, I watched Chernobyl and they were morons in that show too. It was like, wow, like, is this really out? I guess so, you know, but I'm not to speak on X. I don't know. I'm not a historian. But what I do know is,
by the way, though, not to spoil anything, but did we learn why the Russians were trying to reopen everything?
No, they never explain it. They never explain it.
I was just thinking about that. That's one of the.
There's a character that alludes to why they would want to do that, but really he was there as like a plot device to explain, you know, a certain portion of the show, and that was, you know, when they're trying to stop the Russians from opening up the portal to the upside down. So he was there to do that, but he didn't explain the purpose of why they would. I think we're supposed to just assume that they're evil Russians and they want to just do bad shit. I think we're just supposed to just assume that. You feel what I'm saying? So,
like, I was under the impression that maybe there was something in the Upside Down that could be used as like a power source or something.
Right,
like that.
right. And what they
something
do
that
is,
would benefit them, obviously.
Right. So they use the Russians to move the plot along and to give the characters different things to do. Like Dustin and Steve, they were out trying to decipher what was going on, like where the Russians were doing whatever this evil deed they were doing, trying to open the Upside Down. And then you had Hopper and Winona Ryder's character Joyce. You know, they were trying to figure out why some strange things. Why not, right?
Oh,
why
I got it. I got the joke. I got the reference.
Why some strange things was happening in Hawkins, right? So they were on that mission, which ultimately led them to the Russians. So everything
leads to
everything's going to eventually lead to the Russians, and to me that was the plot. And then you had Billy and his, you know, interaction with the Mind Flayer, which is the monster. And I thought those portions were cool too, because that was the real science fiction of the story. That his portion was the horror / you know, science fiction portion of the show, to where then you had the 80s rom-com with, you know, Elle, Will,
like Goonies type.
Right. The Goonies kind of. Well, not the Goonies. This is not the Goonies part. This is the rom-com part. This is the part that's like a romantic comedy, because they were talking about being in relationships with each other.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you had Lucas and Max. You had Elle and Will, and then you had, I mean, not Will. I'm sorry. You had Elle and Mike, and you had Will, who was a pretty big factor in season 1 and 2. Be the odd man out because he just can't let the past go while his friends are growing up.
He wants to keep playing that Dungeons
and Dragons. And I thought that was good too. I thought that was a good, you know, way to use him and not have him be possessed by the Mind Flayer anymore.
But the thing is, it'd make sense for him to want to, because obviously he finds Dungeons and Dragons like a safe zone type thing.
Right.
And after what he'd been through in season 1 and 2.
Right. So then
it's kind of obvious that we'd want.
And it's funny because I didn't think of it the way you thought of it. Everything does lead back to the Russians, because then you have Nancy and Jonathan, who's a couple now. Nancy being Mike's sister, and Jonathan being Will's brother, having their relationship. They work at a newspaper or whatever, and they're trying to figure out some strange things happening in Hawkins. And it leads them
different strange things.
It's different than, you know, the strange things Hopper and Joyce were looking for.
But strange nonetheless.
And what these do is these lead them to the Russians, right? This ultimately leads everyone back to the Russians. So
it's the fucking,
you know,
Russians, bro.
Right.
Them Russians, mate.
So, you know, by the time you get to about episode 6, you know, you're getting into the meat and potatoes of the show. And this is when, you know, I thought that the suspense, everything turned up a dial. Now, there were some moments that slowed it back down, because there were moments with the new characters where they were trying to kind of flesh them out a little bit more, and it slowed down some.
I didn't think it was slowed down too much though.
No, because you had those portions with Robin and Steve that slowed it down a little bit, but not enough to lose interest.
In fact, I was interested in what was going down.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I thought this was a fun watch. I never got bored. It's easy to get bored watching 8 shows, binge watching them back to back.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like an 8-show binge watch.
I mean, I could definitely go for another one. But it was perfect because it didn't overstay its welcome.
Nope, definitely not. It left me wanting more.
And we're going to talk about what left us wanting more in a whole nother video. But to wrap this up and put a bow on it, compared to the previous seasons, I'm not one of those guys that says this is better than this, because each one is supposed to complement the other. So what I'm going to ask you, Si,
feel to it too. Like each season's been distinctly different feel too.
Absolutely. I'm gonna ask you this:
it's similar.
do you think that season 3 was a good compliment to the previous 2 seasons?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
In fact, like I said, I thought it was. I was expecting it to be good anyway because I've enjoyed the first 2 seasons really like a lot, but the way they handled some of the stuff in season 3 was really good.
It was great. I thought it was tremendous.
By the way, the CGI.
The CGI is one of the reasons I think this season took too long to come out. I don't think they could have been ready by July 4th. You know, I mean, they took their time. You could tell they took their time with this TV show, but
it definitely wasn't rushed, which is a good thing.
It wasn't rushed. The CGI is really good. The CGI is excellent, actually, for a TV show.
I think it's the best CGI I've seen in a TV show.
I don't know. It's hard. I can't think off the top of my head.
Other than the giants in Game of Thrones, they were cool.
Game of Thrones has some pretty good special effects.
It also has some pretty shoddy special effects too.
It does. And this one, what they did with the mind flare, and just some of the effects, like I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say the mind flare can turn you into soup. You turn into like meat soup.
I think of has anyone played the game Inside?
I don't know. People probably that's an obscure game. I know what you mean by that.
Did you play Inside?
I did. Yeah.
The ending to that.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Basically that.
So you have these things that like it looks like meat soup. So it looks good actually though. It's actually really good special effects because the mind flare is not really on the screen. It's all digitized. And it looks good. It looks good when it's in a real setting, So what I was going to do was when I review something, I wanted to figure out a metric for it that's not like stars or anything. So what I thought was, it's called Gold Chain Cinema. Let's give TV shows and movies gold chains. So
you're not going to do it. You're not going to do like a 5 out of 5 gold chains, are you?
Not at all. Well, yeah, something like that.
Oh man.
What do you suggest?
Like that reminds me of like Tyrone Magnus's woos.
Yeah. What do you suggest?
There's nothing really else it could be.
Yeah. I mean, it could either be a gold chain or a Canal Street chain. We gotta have levels to it. Is it a gold chain? Is it a silver chain? Or is it Canal Street chain?
That's better than the 5 out of 5 gold chain.
I would say that this is I wouldn't consider this a straight up gold chain. In fact, yeah, for me it's a gold chain.
I'd say it's definitely a gold chain.
It's a gold chain. This show deserves a gold chain.
By the way, you need to like tell me what the other chains are because I don't know.
Well, silver chain is like it's a cool chain, but it's a mediocre chain. It's not quite a gold chain. And we'll reserve the platinum chain for just perfection. Just utter perfection.
There is a platinum chain.
There's a platinum chain. So you got platinum, gold, silver, and Canal Street. Don't worry about what Canal Street is. Sobs from the UK, everyone is watching. Y'all know what the Canal Street chain is. It's gonna turn your neck green. So this show to me is not perfect because I do think that the plot resembles too much of previous seasons, and I don't think they can escape it at this point.
Hey, there were no Russians in seasons 1 and 2.
It wasn't. So they did introduce a foil.
And the way the stuff they did,
but the foil in season 2, if I'm not mistaken, it was still like the U.S. government, right?
I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna need to rewatch it. I'm gonna rewatch the whole season, all 3 seasons.
So season 1, Russian government. Season 2, Russian government. Season 2, American government. It's still a government kind of thing going on. So it's still similar. Like it felt so similar to plotline.
I don't know if that's a fault though, because there's nothing else it could really be.
No, I don't think it's a fault. So,
and the stuff they did in the like, the premise might be the same,
right?
Or the same but similar.
It's similar, so
but it's different enough to warrant a 3rd season. And the stuff that went on in between the seasons, in between the episode, was
pretty good.
Completely different to season 2.
So for me, it's a gold chain. What would you give it?
5 out of 5 gold chains.
Wow, you did it anyway. Okay, so that's a gold chain from both of us. Stranger Things season 3, definitely a gold chain. Definitely a must watch if you're a fan of the series, and if you're not, start with season 1. I think it'll change you. It'll turn you into a fan.
Don't start with season 3.
Don't start with season. You don't even know what the hell is going on, man. There's gonna be people flipping cars and shit. You ain't understand nothing that's going on with season 3. So I don't know why anybody would ever start with like the 3rd season of a show, not the 1st.
Bro, there are people that
do that kind of shit. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. So.
That's one of my pet hates.
Your pet bro, your pet hates? Or pet peeves?
No, we call it pet hate.
Wow. So you hate pets?
No. I don't pee pets. You pee pets? Sim?
Oh man. I guess I haven't peed a pet. I've pet peeved.
I've also pet hated.
Listen, man, if you like this content, remember to subscribe. Make sure you like this video if you do also. You can catch me on Twitter at sincere_GCG. Where can they find you at, Saab?
You can find me on Twitter at Sobski117 and YouTube Sobski117.
Right, and for more content, just subscribe to Gold Chain Cinema. And we up out of here, man. I got to think of a tagline to end videos. I
don't hate pets.
He fucking despises them.
I fucking love pets.
We out of here, man. Y'all take it light. Peace.